Hi, this is the Daily Forex Report for December 7th. We are looking at the U.S. Japanese yen pair first. This pair moved lower but surged higher to close higher. Did close the 50 pip gap from this low to this high that we looked at yesterday. Overall, this pair is moving sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 84.55, possibly as low as 81.87. Look for some resistance around 83.75 and look for some support around 83.00. Okay, now the Euro USD, this particular pair closed down today. It did create an inside bar. Definitely going to be looking for the breakout on this one. It's going sideways, biases sideways currently. Potentially moving as high as 134.80, possibly as low as 131.10. Excuse me. Look for some resistance around 134.50 and look for some support around 131.95. Now the pound US dollar pair. This pair closed higher. Overall moving sideways. Biased is sideways currently. Look for some resistance if it moves up to 158.35 and look for some support around 156.50. Now the US Swiss. This pair moved to the upside, closed higher. We are looking for it to continue overall long-term moving sideways. Bias is sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 0.9994, possibly as low as 0.9693. Look for some resistance around 0.9925 and look for some support around 0.9825. Now as far as excuse me, what I'm looking for during this session, let's take a look at the U.S. Japanese yen pair. I'm sorry, the Euro USD. This pair created, I wanted to show you this, created a swing trade opportunity. By definition, has a higher high than the bar before it and after it. The only thing is, when you draw your line, you can see that the open was below it, and that would negate that. So definitely don't take those. Now, as far as news announcements go, we have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand releasing their rate decision tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Consensus on that is that they're going to hold rates at 3.00%. We have the Australian unemployment change for November being released at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Consensus on that is that it has dropped from 29.7K to 20.0K. The unemployment rate for November is shown to drop from 5.4% down to 5.2%, which of course would be good news for the Australian dollar. Now, I received an email asking how do you determine support and resistance, and let's just go through it real quick. Typically, support and resistance is an area, not a particular price. So when you see an area that has basically where price has moved to a certain point and then doesn't go any higher, there's a potential for resistance there, as it does here. That's resistance. And when it moves down to where it won't move any further, we have support in that area. Now what you want to do is identify several areas of support and resistance. If you notice here we have some resistance. Here we have some resistance as well. So those are two places that we had resistance. These are two areas of resistance. So it could be, if you take a look at this, most likely the market will, if it moves higher, will either hit that area and pull back, or it's going to move through it really strong. You can see that we had an area of support here, and when it broke through it with some strength and then continued on lower. So it just depends, how strong that particular support and resistance is as to whether it will break through or not. And how you determine how strong it is how many times has it been a point of support. If it's if it's been an area of support several times, then you can bet that it's a strong one. Typically what that means is it's either going to hold or when it breaks out, it's going to be that much stronger upon the breakout. Well, I hope that helps as far as support and resistance. It's very easy to look. Let's change to the 1 hour time frame and just identify very quickly some support and resistance areas. If you're trading the 1 hour, you'll notice we have an area here that's in line with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars, this area of support. So we may want to be cautious of this area. We also had that support here. So you can see that that's a very strong support area. And the other thing you need to know is resistance can become support. So we have this area of resistance, previous resistance here, which becomes new support. So these are some things that you definitely need to be aware of when looking for support and resistance. Okay, well that about wraps us up for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.